I'm sorry, Terry, what were you talking about there? Repeat what you were just saying. Well, good evening, everybody.
Hello. Hi. Happy
Galvin
Wednesday.
with us, and Faye, and Dale Stine, and Terry from Sun Service with us. We're getting ready to have a fun show.
And an informative show. Like all these stories, I'm like, wow, blown away by how much stuff we have to talk about today and how the perfect people are with us today to talk about these stories.
Yeah, we're gonna report on the record number of public officials, elected officials, and we have one here sitting at the table.
What a coincidence. Where'd you pull Scott out of?
Anita Bryant.
And I'm Faye, I'm distracted by your earring.
Right. I couldn't get my joke in.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up the news. It's 8 p.m. Wednesday, July 28th, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited, live, LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are part of the Happening Out television network, Hotspots magazine, and We Meg events. Hotspots is celebrating 35 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. Merged, we bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our LGBTQ plus community.
This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet. I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's welcome anchor FayWhat. She's a radio and television personality and has the popular blog and YouTube channel aiming to unite the L and the G together. She's a hostess and MC for many South Florida events, an animal advocate, and owner of Faye's Fur Family, and is the anchor of the travel news show, Happening Out Travel. Also, make sure to catch the FayWhat show Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. An original title. Good evening, Faye.
Good evening, guys, and I will give you $5 for saying that later, Al. All right? All right. Next, let's welcome anchor Scott Galvin. Scott is the executive director of Safe Schools South Florida, a nonprofit focusing on providing safe space for LGBTQ plus youth. He's also a member of the North Miami City Council, where I live. Ooh, ooh. First elected in 1999, Galvin is one of the longest-serving openly LGBTQ plus legislators in the state of Florida. HIV awareness is an important cause for Scott, so he serves on the board of directors for the AIDS Healthcare Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing cutting-edge medicine and advocacy to more than 2 million people in over 40 countries. Galvin volunteers with the Florida LGBTQ plus Democratic Caucus to network other openly gay elected officials from Tallahassee to Orlando to Key West. Welcome, Scott.
Thanks. Let's welcome next anchor Terry Dyer. He's the Director of Development for SunServe, a model social service agency serving the LGBTQ community with compassionate and progressive care. He's also the author of Letters to a Gay Black Boy, his first book that provides an inspiring conversation with our community. It gives us a raw, authentic, and emotional look into his life, and all motivated by homosexuality, race, family, and love. Good evening, Terry.
Good evening, everybody. Let's welcome anchor Dale Stine. He received a master's degree from the world-famous Juilliard School. He is a well-known photographer and has been featured in innumerable magazine covers, featured spreads, CD record covers, and websites. Dale is also famous for his photographs for internationally acclaimed DJs, producers, drag personas, politicos, business people, and entertainers. He is currently the Director of Music Ministry at Unity on the Bay, moderator of the South Florida's largest LGBTQ plus Facebook group, Miami Gay List. Welcome, Dale.
Thank you, Terry. Great to see everybody tonight. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast, and here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Wednesday, July 28th.
Well, let's begin by queering up politics. LGBTQ plus elected officials in the U.S. number nearly 1,000, and that number is rising fast and historically high. During the election season, Queer News Tonight made frequent mention of a rainbow wave in U.S. elections. The Victory Institute has now compiled data on just how many openly LGBTQ plus politicians are now in office, and the numbers bring us some hope. These numbers do not reflect appointments, such as cabinet positions. Currently in the U.S., there are 986 elected officials serving. While that number is excellent, it represents just 0.19% of all elected officials in this country. The specific numbers of LGBTQ plus elected officials in office are as follows: 2 governors, 11 members of the U.S. Congress, 6 state-level positions, 56 mayors, 189 members of state legislature, 601 local officials, and 121 judicial positions.
This is great stuff, and this is actually 17% up from last year. So we keep on growing and growing exponentially. Then the only state that doesn't have one of us representing anywhere is Mississippi.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I'm an openly gay elected official.
You are?
Obviously, yeah. Surprise, I'm outing myself right now. Surprise.
What, are we shocked that he's an elected official or that he's gay?
No,
Right?
if you knew me from high school, you're shocked I'm an elected official. But, you know, the numbers are encouraging because they're moving in the right direction, but 0.19% is it's really small.
Infinitesimal.
Yeah, it's small. Across the American population, 5% of the people openly admit that they're gay. Now, that doesn't count people who are in the closet. That doesn't count people who are denying themselves. 5% of the American population identifies as LGBTQ. Only 0.19% of elected officials are. To gain equality in those math percentage numbers, another 28,000 people would have to be elected from the LGBTQ plus community. So we're not even at 1,000. We need to get to 38,000. Stunning numbers, moving in the right direction, but we need more LGBTQ people running.
Well, you bring rain to our parade.
Yeah, right?
Today and to our story. No,
I had like a happy
kidding.
boner. All of a sudden, went,
It shows you also the importance of coming out. You know, it's
Yeah.
Yeah. Scott, I'm curious to your observation and what we would need to have representation numbers for the community. What is it going to take? We've made so much progress, and then you put it in terms which are crystal clear. But what is it going to take to even start close to the kind of challenge numbers that you just put on?
Yeah, we need to teach people what it means to run for office, what you have to do to run for office. Hollywood stereotype shows the balloons, shows you kissing babies, but it doesn't talk about fundraising. It doesn't talk about door knocking. It doesn't talk about all the paperwork that goes into it. There's a lot of work in just running for office, let alone serving. So we need to teach younger people, any age people, we need to teach them what it takes to run for office and then kick them in the butt to get out and do it. Everybody's always got an excuse. Oh, one day I have kids down the line. Do it now, do it now, do it now.
I'm always, just one more question. I'm always a bit critical on Gen Zers and millennials in the LGBTQ community. From this specific angle of running for office and how much hard work it takes, are you encouraged about what you're seeing from Gen Zers and millennials?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to, they live on their cell phones. The internet is their world. That's where they receive information. That's where they take action by tweeting, and they think that that's taking action. So we've got to make sure that we reach them on those platforms, but then draw them into real life conversations. You don't run for governor of a state after you've tweeted a couple things and watched a slideshow online. We have to do more to bring people in, young people, any age people, bring them in, educate them, and then push them to get out there and go. Even if that's city councilman and something small, get out there and do it.
Well, let's continue. Next, let's queer up South Florida. Another pie in the face for Anita Bryant. Her granddaughter is gay. Watch this.
Newsmen were questioning Miss Bryant about her national crusade against gay persons when 4 self-proclaimed homosexuals from Minneapolis interrupted today's proceedings.
if we were going to go on a crusade across the nation and try to do away with the homosexuals, then we certainly would have done it on June the 8th after one of the most overwhelming victories in the country. But we didn't. We tried to avoid it and went into a place called Norfolk, Virginia, and were met with protest and all kinds of problems. And
Security agent, security agent. No, let him stay.
No.
Let him stay.
Well, at least it's a fruit pie. Huh.
Let's pray for him right now. Anita, let's pray. Anita, why don't you pray? That's all right.
Father, we want to thank you.
Bryant burst into tears as the pie ran down her face. A little while later, Bryant's husband found the 4 pie throwers in a parking lot talking with newsmen. The 4 still had a banana cream pie with them, and despite his earlier plea for non-retaliation, Bryant's husband took it and threw it in one of the pie throwers' face. Des Moines authorities say no charges will be filed in connection with today's incident. Dennis Wilden, News 5.
Bryant, a beauty queen and pop singer, was a spokeswoman for Florida orange growers in the 1970s when she gained new fame with her opposition to gay rights. Miami-Dade County's government adopted an ordinance in 1977 banning employment and housing discrimination based on sexual orientation, making it one of the first municipalities to do so. Bryant, who had testified against the ordinance, was outraged at its passage and led a campaign dubbed Save Our Children to persuade voters to repeal it. Now she is living her worst nightmare, baby. Her granddaughter, Sarah Green, is gay, and she's marrying a lesbian. Green is planning her wedding and is debating whether to invite Bryant. She and her fiance have discussed it extensively. Green says, quote, "I think I probably will eventually just call her and ask if she even wants an invitation, because I genuinely do not know how she would respond. I don't know if she would be offended if I didn't invite her." End quote.
Is this a delicious story or what?
Tastes like
Karma!
Fruit pie.
Yeah.
Fruit
Tastes
pie.
like fruit pie.
You know-
Making a joke about fruits, by the way.
Yeah, and those of us who were around and young at those days, what she said was absolutely awful about the gay community, because we couldn't reproduce. The only thing we would do is go into schools and recruit kids. We needed to recruit. We were, devil worshippers. I mean, she used the most ugly, heinous descriptions and stereotypes about the gay community. It's ironic to see, and this totally an aside, I did a PowerPoint presentation today to Dade County public school teachers, and I used this exact story and videotape. Oh. Most of the school teachers watching the video never had heard of Anita Bryant.
I have to jump in and tell you, because it's and please, everyone else on this story. But there was a recent poll done by the Williams Institute at UCLA asking LGBT under the age of 30. Only 4% had ever heard of Anita Bryant. They have no idea.
There's some joy in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a mixed message.
Only 4% know the history.
I mean, and probably almost no one at the table knows the song, the famous song, well, of course, "I'm Ancient." So
there was a song. Of course, you remember the song,
to
right?
the flower,
Sing
the
the song.
sunshine tree, fresh frozen orange juice, naturally.
Oh my gosh, it came out of my mouth. I know it too.
Wow, that was awesome.
Yeah, this just goes to show you that for decades, people have been putting Florida on the map in a negative way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most unfortunately.
Well, and let's think about Anita, for a second. Like, she was across the board a hateful person, like you just said. When her daughter, her granddaughter,
she was loved in America.
Well, and she loved her granddaughter. She used to dote over her granddaughter and love her. So at 21, her granddaughter finally came out to her, and you would expect for her to go, "Well, it's my granddaughter. Let me look at this differently." No, she still told her that homosexuality is a delusion intended by the devil. I mean, yeah, don't invite her, girl. Don't invite her.
Yeah.
I was, to be honest with you, before we go on to Scott in the next story, I was surprised that Anita Bryant was alive.
Yeah.
This story brought back to attention.
But she's only 81. I mean, which is, that's not that old.
It's not the age, it was the desire. Desire.
And the evil, you think like so many wonderful people have passed on from this planet, and yet someone as hateful as she is still walking the earth. It's really just not there.
And as Faye says, she had every opportunity to say at this point at 81, I love my granddaughter, I love her unconditionally, and I have nothing bad to say about the LGBTQ community as a result. She didn't make that choice. Right? She didn't.
Yeah.
Now we queer up health. Long-acting HIV prevention drugs may be key to beating the epidemic in the U.S. Almost a decade after the Daley HIV prevention pill hit the market, long-acting forms of this public health tool, including a drug-infused implant meant to last a year, have shown promise in clinical trials. Experts believe such medications could launch a new era in HIV prevention, one that is long overdue for Black, Hispanic, and younger people who've been particularly prone to missing doses and dropping out of prevention programs. Dosed no more frequently than once a month, these new forms of PrEP offer potential solutions to a problem that has long frustrated the HIV fight, that many at-risk people find adhering to a daily preventative prescription drug too burdensome.
So perfect that we have this story and Terry is here with us today from SunServe, right? Look at your face. Oh, you.
Here's what I say with respects to this story. This has been an issue for a long, long period of time. African Americans, Hispanics, people of color, et cetera, don't typically like to take drugs in that capacity, right? So, well, yeah, let's call it a reality, right? So getting them to adhere to that type of stuff and getting them to understand the importance of this type of stuff, that needs to be focused on first. And then I think you can bring the other pieces into that.
I hear what you just said, but I don't really quite understand the conclusion as to why. Why are people of color, Latino, et cetera, why do they have problems in terms of taking the drugs?
It's stigma. It's stigma and what that represents.
Absolutely. But is that true only of HIV, AIDS, or other?
The word itself.
Okay.
The word itself.
The medication, so if
holds.
someone on a medication for cancer or something like that would be a completely different story.
It would be a completely different story.
Absolutely.
Now, understand,
Yes.
we did this story, and these are just, this particular shot is in its beginning stages. Yeah. So, you know, I did the whole FayWhat show yesterday, just concentrating on HIV and AIDS, and I had the amazing Adrian Toca from Comprehensive Health Center with us. Hi. And, you know, the other shot that we have talked about before, that's going to be 2 shots in the butt once a month, that is almost here, baby, you know? But again, people will have to show their commitment by taking the oral once a day pill for a couple of months and, you know, show that they are in it to win it, and then they will be allowed to take the shots, which will only be once a month, and that's it. One little shot in each butt, bloop, bloop, and you're good.
Yeah.
You know, people are saying the goal is World Health Organization. The U.S. has also made the commitment of eradicating new infections by 2030. But there are lots and lots of, even with these new treatments that are revolutionary on the horizon, in recent months have become very pessimistic. And they use the example of what we're watching in vaccination for COVID-19, that even with the right medications, that's why I asked you about the stigma issue, that wholesale groups of people will not take the medical regimen that is designed to help prevent HIV and even treat HIV. And they're watching it from COVID-19
But let's not minimize how wonderful it is.
27.5
sure. million people in 2020 were accessing antiretroviral medicine. 27.5 million that didn't have to suffer through HIV and AIDS. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
We've come a long way, but clearly we still have much more work to do.
Lots of education. It's education. It's education. Take your vaccine, by the way.
Please. Let's queer up entertainment. Dua Lipa surprised and horrified at DaBaby's homophobic comments. Watch this.
You didn't show up today with HIV, AIDS, any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that'll make you die in 2-3 weeks. Put a cell phone light in the air. Lady, if your pussy smell like water, put a cell phone light in the air. Fellas. Lights up. Fellas, if you ain't sucking nigga dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights in the air.
Me and all my fans at the show, the gay ones and the straight ones, we turned the fuck up. I'm talking about my boy that was at the front of the stage, left over there by where I jumped at. Ask him, he got clips all on his shit. The whole night was recording. We were turned the whole night. My boy had the crop top on, front row. Yeah, out there in that jungle, in that water. I say, if you don't got AIDS, put a cell phone light up. I say, if you ain't sucked dick in the parking lot, put your cell phone lights up. So I could drop my next song. I wasn't going on no rant. That's called a call to action. That's what that's called, because I'm a live performer. I'm the best. live performer, I'm the live show killer. You interact with your fans, you get what I'm saying? Look, all the lights went up, gay or straight, you wanna know why? Cause even my gay fans don't got fucking AIDS, stupid ass niggas. They don't got AIDS. My gay fans, they take care of themselves. They ain't going for that. They ain't no nasty gay niggas. You know what I'm saying? They ain't no junkies.
During his performance at Rolling Loud concert on Sunday, rapper DaBaby told people to put their cell phone flashlights on if they, quote, didn't show up today with HIV/AIDS or any of them deadly sexually transmitted diseases that will make you die in 2 to 3 weeks, end quote, as well as other anti-LGBTQ plus remarks. On Tuesday, Dua, who collaborated with DaBaby on her hit Levitating, took to her Instagram to condemn his remarks, saying, quote, I'm surprised and horrified at DaBaby's comments. I really don't recognize this as the person I worked with. I know my fans know where my heart lies and that I stand 100% with the LGBTQ plus community. We need to come together to fight the stigma and ignorance around HIV and AIDS, end quote.
God, where do we begin on this
So,
one? I'm like, wow, I can't
Okay.
believe that you got through that story, Terry. Like, your lip was quivering.
Right.
The audience couldn't see when we were watching the video right along with you. Terry was jumping out of his seat.
Already, that
Speaking
song,
of levitating, he was levitating.
Yeah, exactly. The Levitating song is on heavy rotation on the radio. Already, they've put on a new version with his part edited out.
Nice.
Just
Chopped out?
to a Lipa.
You know, I think
Take it out.
I read some tweet, some comment somewhere saying, Lil Nas X, do another version with Lil Nas X. So I thought that's a great idea.
That would be
But back to that mess.
Yes.
Wow. Terry, I want to
Hey, I don't even know what to
Spit
say.
it out, honey.
Last Saturday, I stood up for almost 2 hours and spoke to an audience of black and white LGBT or black and white gay men who come together, who support each other, who love each other, who facilitate, who get together once a year at annual conferences. And this was a huge topic of our conversation around stigma and around family and around love. It was obviously centered around my book, and educating each other and to hear this. It continues to perpetuate the problem in our society. It continues to perpetuate the problem in our own community, the black community, the gay community. I am mortified sitting here right now watching that. Like, how dare you, with someone with such a huge platform, make those remarks about the people that have been buying your music, supporting your music? You know I'm very diplomatic, so I'm going to stop now. So
Breathe, Terry, breathe.
It goes to show you
my
that
gosh.
DaBaby is today's Anita Bryant, using their platform to slam the gays.
You know,
But will he be canceled? I wonder.
Oh, please.
pie time.
Yeah.
Please.
I was writing with a very, very close friend of mine just in the last 4 or 5 days, and DaBaby song came on. And I remember just passively going, I really like DaBaby. I will never say that
No.
again.
Yeah.
Never say
You
that
won't.
again. And Terry, I just have an obligation for viewers and the show. What is going on in terms of the black community, in terms of still this kind of homophobic response to HIV? Everybody that has HIV clearly is not to be shamed in this way. It could be accidental.
That's right.
It's just ignorance. What's going on in the community, do you think, and what do we do about it?
You know, that's a heavy, heavy topic and a long conversation. Here's what I will say is there's a religious component that still plays prevalent to this day. In addition to that, people don't necessarily realize several years ago, black heterosexual women were the highest infected population with HIV. So for you to be saying that it's gay, it's this, and people are doing dirty things and all this stuff, like, you clearly are not educated. And that's part of the problem as well. We tend to not educate ourselves on topics as this, but then we spout out stuff that we have no idea what we're talking about. That's a problem. That's a problem. And I think the more that we continue in religious spaces to press what it says in the Bible or what we've been talking about for so many years, that also is the problem. There is a church that I know of in California that is one of the best churches I've ever been to in San Francisco. And one of the things I love about them is there's all people of color, and they talk about, they sit
Agape.
they
Agape.
sit in a space that focuses on that community, right? That focuses on HIV, that focus on prevention, that focuses on condom uses and all this other stuff. And so not having that religious component in that space, we need more spaces like that for people to feel comfortable and to continue to get past that stigma.
I was thinking in his video comments, clearly not backing down, talking about sucking dick in the parking lot. And him calling out and all of my gay fans. And I thought, what gay fans could you possibly have after doing this? It's shocking. It's just totally shocking.
Wow. It's just... Okay, next let's queer up gay culture. Jake Gyllenhaal's bottomed for our sins. Let me read that again. Jake Gyllenhaal bottomed for our sins. And other awesome t-shirt designs.
Oh, it's about t-shirts. I got it.
I was like, where's the picture?
Yeah.
That's the T. Here's the T. TeePublic is home to thousands of custom apparel pieces, including designs by LGBTQ+ artists. From pun-filled artwork to statement tees, and from pop culture figures to not safe for work designs, there are plenty of talented artists to support. Some of our favorite shirts include Jake Gyllenhaal bottomed for our sins. I got to say it again. Jake Gyllenhaal bottomed for our sins. I really like the idea of that. Dead name me and I'll identify it as a problem. And for the geek crowd, it's Bucky and Steve, not Adam and Eve. These shirts are a fun and fashionable way to both make a statement and help support LGBTQ+ artists who created them. Check out these and many others at teepublic.com.
I love shirts with stuff on them like that, with sayings like them. I always cut them and bedazzle them and wear them to events. I love them. Some of my favorites were on this one, Gaysian, like a Gaysian. I love that one. And then another one, it was, is he? And then there's a hand like this. That was like one of my favorites. I mean, but they have a ton. Go get one today and support LGBTQ artists.
It's funny you say that because the first time I met Scott Galvin, that's exactly what I did. Is he?
My mom too. I don't know.
Your mom too, right?
You'll get your royalties for that t-shirt.
Right, exactly, exactly right.
So that is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ+ news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight is reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020.
Tonight, we report that as of today, more than 2,474,000 LGBTQ+ Americans have contracted COVID-19.
Queer News Tonight remembers the more than 43,000 LGBTQ+ Americans who have died from coronavirus.
But the news is improving because as of today, more than 342 million vaccination doses have been administered in the United States.
That is our pandemic news for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church here in Fort Lauderdale. We're broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine and supporting that partnership.
Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ+ religious live broadcast in the world as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
Hi everybody, my name is Eddie Marti Kring and I'm your field and community organizer for SAVE, Safeguarding American Values for Everyone, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Finally, we thank Queer News Tonight's sponsor, Best Western I-95 Fort Lauderdale. This is the closest and best choice to the famous Wilton Drive, and our host and guests stay at this LGBTQ+ ally partner. We encourage you to stay here when visiting South Florida.
Well, we're going to finish tonight's queer news headlines with what we call LGBTQ+ flash news. LGBTQ+ flash news. Leslie Jordan commenting, or both, on Tom Daley's Olympics victory is peak Leslie Jordan. Watch this.
This is the way I'd be if I reported from the Olympics. Ooh, there they go. Flip-flop, round and round. There's Tom Daley. See, they've got to make 100 points to beat him. They're not going to be able to do it, I don't think. Look, woo! In those little tight Speedos. There you go, there you go. That's how I'd be the reporter. Leslie Allen Jordan reporting for duty with the Olympic diving. I think I could do that. Just flip around a little bit.
Well, Leslie Jordan went full-on Leslie Jordan with extra thirsty commentary on Tom Daley and Maddie Lee's gold medal win, and the Olympian absolutely loved it. The British diver and diving duo struck gold in the Tokyo Olympic Games earlier this week, beating China's Chao Yuan and Chen Aisen in the men's synchronized 10-meter platform. Jordan, the 66-year-old sitcom legend, congratulated Daley on his first Olympic gold medal on Tuesday as he watched the games on NBC. On Instagram, he wrote, quote, "My friend is a better diver than your friend. Way to go, Tom Daley. Olympic gold. Can I touch it? Your medal." End quote.
Tom Daley's Speedo would be like a whole three-piece suit for Leslie Jordan.
Well, Leslie Jordan was so thirsty, he could have filled that Olympic diving pool.
Yeah.
Wow, Scott, wow.
Wow. Wow. I have some history with Leslie Jordan and some of his trade and Palm Springs, and I'm going to leave it at that, just to whet your appetite.
I'm asking you after.
To whet your appetite.
Everything about Leslie Jordan and Tom Daley has been said. Moving on.
Yeah. Congratulations to Tom Daley. And what I liked most was he did a panel and called out why LGBTQ representation at the Olympics was important. Congratulations on your gold medal.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Say hallo to the queens of Drag Race Holland Season 2. Watch this.
Queens, zijn jullie klaar voor een nieuw seizoen Drag Race Holland? Slay that runway en laat zien wie je bent.
Now they call me mother, jaded creep bitch, I love that drama, fishy feminine up and comer, from the Clintons to the Obamas, I keeps it tight. Now they call me mother, freaky money, click clack, ow, body like na 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 na, tat tat, na 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 now, giggity hot, get back.
Brush up on your Dutch because Drag Race Holland is back with even more stroopwafel realness. In case you missed it, Envy Peru was crowned the Netherlands' first Drag Race superstar last year. Now 10 dazzling new queens are slated to compete for the crown on the second season of Drag Race Holland. These queens are Evie Elise, Juicy Couture, Keta Minaj, Love Masisi, My Little Punny, Reggie B, Tabitha, the Countess, Vanessa Van Cartier, and Vivaldi. Dutch TV personality and stylist Fred Van Leer will return to host Season 2.
Okay, so with a name like that, My Little Punny, Shantae, you stay. I love this show. It never gets old, season after season. I wish I could watch this one.
I know. I wish I could get over to Holland to buy some space cakes to watch it. That's
Google it.
Based on the promo alone, I'll officially watch this.
Yeah, it's an absolutely stunning video. America, the next season, they got to catch up a little because this was pretty hot.
Yep.
The trailer made me gag, but I can't get into it without Michelle Visage. Sorry. So that is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only daily LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of tonight. Stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television news in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines. We need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories to bring attention to them to the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. That is the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including FayWhat, Scott Galvin, Terry Dyer, and Dale Stine. You win $5 there, dude. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.